Portion of the City Council meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time is now 5:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, will you please take roll call?
Councilmember Gama,
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Here.
Councilmember Martinez,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem McQueen Lejeune.
Here.
And Mayor Perez.
Here. We will now take public comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments tonight?
No public comments for closed session.
Okay, thank you. Madam City Attorney, will you please read the closed session items into the record?
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Yes, we have one closed session matter. It is a public employee performance evaluation, the position of the city manager, and we are going into closed session under Government Code Section 54957B as in boy 1. And to
Thank
the
you.
extent there is any reportable action after the closed section, we will report out.
Great. Do any members of council have any conflicts of interest to disclose for the listed closed session item on the agenda? Seeing none, I will now recess to closed session. The time is 5:30. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City Council regular meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time is now 6:30. Please stand and join me for the flag salute. Madam Clerk, will you please take roll call?
Councilmember Gama,
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Here.
Councilmember Martinez,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem McQueen Lejeune.
Here.
And Mayor Perez.
Here. Tonight's inspiration will be given by Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to do a statement of inspiration regarding a documentary I saw on PBS last night called Water of the Future, Future of Water. But instead, I ended up going to the Ocean View Pavilion for the Air Force Band, and I was so inspired by the music, I thought I'd talk about music instead. You know, music is a great leveler. It is, it knows no boundaries, and it can change your mood, which it did for me this afternoon, listening to some of Stevie Wonder, Whitney Houston. I forget some of the other songs they played, but it was really uplifting. And, you know, if you're feeling down and you want to be uplifted, try going to a summer concert. There's so many out there this summer. There's a lot of music out there, and go and find your joy in music. That's my inspiration.
Thank you. Madam City Attorney, please provide the closed session report.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Yes, we do have a matter that comes back. The council voted 4-0, 5-0, to approve amending the city manager's contract after a very positive review, and that amended contract will come back to you on the next council session.
Thank you. We will now hear public comments. Public comments not pertaining to items on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. This process will be the same for comments pertaining to each agenda item. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments tonight?
We do. Our first up is Alexis Juarez.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Apologies for my camera. My name is Alexis Holguin Juarez. My family has been residents of Port Hueneme for the past 40-plus years, since the 70s. And I'm speaking to you today to request revisions to the home inspections being done by the Community and Economic Development Department. This is in response to an inspection that occurred on our property last month. On May 17th, we received a letter in English stating that our home will be inspected due to numerous people being seen entering and leaving the home and an overabundance of vehicles. It was also stated that we had 7 days to schedule an inspection for a possible violation of the Health and Safety Code. Last week, we had the inspection. The Codes and Compliance Officer and an associate partner visited our multi-unit residence and stated that they needed to enter our family's home and our neighborhood's home in order to count beds and inspect if people are residing in garages. Granted, this has happened 4 times over the past 5 years, so they have already came to our residence to inspect and count beds. Upon request of the specific code being used on the basis for the inspection, the Codes Compliance Officer stated that they don't know the code number. When asked about what prompted the inspection, the Codes Compliance Officer stated a public complaint prompted the inspection, but they do not have any information or record of the public complaint, and I would need to contact the city clerk. When asked about the process of the home inspections, the Codes Compliance Officer stated that they need to enter all of our homes, garages, and RVs at once, and will determine overcrowding on a visual inspection, and then will give us X amount of days to fix the violation. Because only 1 unit was ready for the inspection, the Codes Compliance Officer stated we need to reschedule another inspection for the other 2 units. Lastly, when asked about how can families amend possible violations for overcrowding, the Codes Compliance Officer stated that their department does not provide resources for individuals suffering from overcrowding conditions. Based off of that interaction, I'm proposing the following revisions. 1. Written correspondence to households regarding home inspections, please be written in English and Spanish. I am honestly surprised I need to advocate for language inclusion, considering that 43% of households in Port Hueneme speak Spanish, according to the most recent census report. 2, please indicate the specific code number, website to find the code, and criteria for home inspections on all correspondence to households. A vague reference to a violation of the health and safety code does not give me adequate information of why individuals from my local government need to visit my family's residence, nor the process on why they are on my property. 3, please explicitly state that the resident needs to give permission for city staffers to enter their homes, and that they can voluntarily decline city staffers entering their homes. Somebody from local government coming to my family's home and stating that they need to enter our homes without stating the code they're referencing, the complaint record, or the fact that this is a voluntary process insinuates that residents cannot deny access to their homes. And then in the last 5 seconds, please identify potential resources and programs to address identified needs. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll make this comment up front. For public comment, the council's not able to ask or to engage because it's not on the agenda. So that item's not on the agenda, but I'll ask the supervisor of the Code Enforcement Department to get back to you and talk through some of those issues.
Tom King.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, City Manager, staff. I'm really here today to say thank you. At the most recent committee for the city and the port, Chris Sindikas indicated that the port in particular was going to pivot and not put the monument, the 12-foot monument, out by the beach, but instead at the entry to the port. So I really wanted to thank everybody here, as well as the commissioners, Chris Sindikas. I know James, our city manager, was very involved, but especially also our neighbors. We had just short of 200 people who had expressed opposition to the location. But today, I just wanted to say thank you. That's it.
Greg Ross.
Good afternoon or good evening. First of all, City Council, City Manager, Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor, thank you for listening and thank you for your service. Maybe everybody thanks you, but it's never enough, right? Y'all spend a lot of time and energy, and we appreciate that. I've lived in southern Ventura County since 2001. And in Ventura County since 1971. My name is Greg Ross. I've been here before. I'm here with an update, and I'm not to waste your time. We've grown to really love Port Hueneme. It's a great city, and the people that work here are always very friendly, and we're very happy to live here. There's just one little thing that we want to hopefully fix. And it involves the port. So I handed out a sheet to the clerk. It's a quote from the president of Clean Air Engineering Maritime. He's one of the people that is involved in putting these barges out there with hats on the railroads. You're probably all aware of that. I made this presentation to the Harbor Commission last week. Learned that one of the harbor commissioners and one of the other people that work for the port in the room live in Silver Strand. And so they say, well, we're part of this, this area, except the prevailing winds, 90% of the time or more, are coming our way, not their way. So keep that in mind. We are the ones that are breathing this in every day. I know that they've got a plan. I know that they're working on it. I know that we've got they've got they're up against the deadline, January 1st. They've got to get the pollution from these diesel engines from the ships down. I just want to tell you that the update I'm talking about is we've now signed leases for 2 pollution monitoring devices for our neighborhood, and they're going to be installed in a week or 2. And then I'll come back to you, not waste your time, with some science about what's in the air that we're breathing. Because as you can see from that quote, this is some of the most toxic pollutant carbon particulate matter that really hurts people's lungs. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
That concludes public comment for general comments.
Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda approval. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Do any members of council have any conflicts of interest to disclose for any item on the agenda? Not seeing any, we will move on to the first presentation, which is the quarterly employee recognition, and that will be given by Deputy City Manager Charles Peretz.
Evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, staff members, and members of the public. So it is that time of year, our quarterly update before the council. We'll recognize those employees celebrating significant years of service with the city. Tonight we have 2, and they're both in the Department of Public Works, so I'll invite Public Works Director Fred Camarillo to come up and speak about these 2 wonderful employees.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, members of the audience, staff. Tonight, we have 2 employees we're recognizing. The first is, and I don't see him in the audience, Antonio Almanza. Antonio is a member of our landscape maintenance division. He began his career here in April of 1989, so he's got 35 years of service here. I believe that's probably the 2nd longest tenure that's active right now. Many of you probably know Antonio. He's a man of very few words, but an excellent employee, always does whatever is needed, irregardless of what it might be. He's really, again, he's not a man of a lot of words. He leads by example. He's someone that also is very popular with the beach cleanup crowd. I know a lot of the times we use our equipment and use our dumpsters to go out and take stuff, and when we have the cleanups, we get a lot of the organizers that ask, is Antonio going to be out there? So they know him by name because of the job that he does so well. So with the questionnaire that was given out to the employees, one of the questions is, what do you like best about working for the city of Port Hueneme? He stated that he loves working with the citizens and his co-workers, and that he appreciates how nice his interactions with the citizens are. He always gets positive feedback. His favorite moment thus far in his career with the city, he said being able to go out and work at the beach and being able to be out there by the ocean and see the islands out there. He says he really loves that. So he's very excited about that. And then one thing I wanted to end with, about 2 weeks ago, he was out working at the beach, and we received a comment from a member of the public. So I'm just going to read what that person wrote in. So said, yesterday, Thursday, June 20th at around 11 a.m., I went to the Port Hueneme beach. I paid for parking fee and returned to my car to place the receipt on the dash. When I unlocked the car door, I slung my purse strap over the side view mirror, placed the receipt on the dash, and headed off for a walk with my dog. I knew I wasn't going to stay long, just to walk to the Alaska Airline Memorial and back. I recently lost a loved one and have been a bit distracted. I wanted to go to a place where loved ones are remembered. When I got back to the parking lot, I saw it. My purse was still hanging on my mirror. Antonio, who was working in the parking lot, was in the area and must have seen my purse. I know he was busy working in the area, but he still kept an eye out. I really wasn't gone that long, but I let out a sigh of relief when I realized what had happened and how Antonio had helped me out. I thanked him over and over, but I want you to know how grateful I am for his kindness, for the kind of people you have working for your city. And that was from Robin Ruth Roberts from the city of Camarillo. And that's who Antonio is. And so I'd like to, although he's not here, I'll present this to him tomorrow, thank Antonio for 35 years of service. The second person is Dennis Martinez, our water general manager, who is here. Dennis began his career here on August 4th, 2004, so he is a 20-year recipient. His career started with facilities maintenance, and he was there for approximately 9 years. And after that, he moved over to the water division, and where he's worked his way through all the various steps of the water operations and is now currently our water general manager. When asked what he liked best about working for the city, he said the best part about working for the city of Port Hueneme Water Department is being able to directly impact our community by ensuring everyone has clean, safe drinking water, and find it incredibly fulfilling to be part of such a vital service and work alongside skilled operators who are dedicated to their craft. His favorite work moment, he said, over my 20-year career with the city, I've cherished numerous favorite work moments. Among them, one of the most fulfilling aspects has been witnessing the formation of a great team over the last few years, not just within the water division, but across the entire city. When asked if he wanted to share anything personal about his family, he stated, I want to thank my wife, Monique, as well as my son, Austin, who's 14, and 12-year-old daughter, Brooklyn, for their support throughout his journey here at the city. And on a personal side, I've known Dennis for quite a long time. I think even before he started working here, because I knew his mom, who happened to work here in the finance department before he got here. So Dennis is a great guy. He always has a positive attitude, again, does whatever's necessary. He's dedicated to improving himself and taking care of the water division and the water plant. And he has grown his group excellently. So I'd like to thank Dennis for 20 years of service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
The next presentation we have is the Parks and Recreation Month proclamation. And that will be
Mayor,
read, yes?
could we take a photo with
Oh, of
Dennis? And sorry about that.
Get back down here.
Before you're off the hook. And I just wanted to say about both of them that it's rare that you have employees in a city who have that dedication the last 20 and 35 years nowadays in modern times, but also that they are working hard every day still after 20 and 35 years. So I really appreciate it, and I know the community and the residents and the council appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.
All right, now we will have the Parks and Recreation proclamation read by Councilmember Gama.
I'm really excited to read the Parks and Recreation proclamation. You know, Hueneme Beach, Bubbling Springs, we have some great parks, great outdoor areas here, and so I'm really thankful to be able to do this. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the city of Port Hueneme. And whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas parks and recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month. And whereas the city of Port Hueneme recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme does hereby proclaim that the month of July is recognized as Parks and Recreation Month in the City of Port Hueneme, proclaimed this first day of July 2024.
All right.
Councilmember Gama, your reading inspired me. So if I could just say a few words about the city's Recreation and Community Services team. As many of us in this room know, and many community members know, the team does a number of different things. One of them is they run special events in the city, such as the 5K Run for Your Heart event, the Movies in the Park, the Halloween Spectacular, Memorial Day event, Touch a Truck, Extravaganza, just to name a few. They also offer the regular programming that we often see in the city, the senior exercise program, the yoga, gymnastics, ballet, taekwondo, learn to swim classes, just to name, again, a few. And they also provide important input, working with our colleagues over in Public Works and Facilities on park input and programming needs in our facilities. So those are the services that they provide, the important benefits that are provided to the city. And I mentioned Public Works and Facilities, and it's important to mention them, recreation and community services, events, programs, park design. But we work with our colleagues in those divisions, or those departments rather, that are responsible for both maintaining and repairing both the facilities and the amenities, making sure that the parks look beautiful. So we thank them for that partnership. Lastly, in recognition of July being Parks and Recreation Month, I just wanted to note a couple of things that the city is doing that month to help celebrate. July 6th, this Saturday, is going to be the reopening of the Port Hueneme Historic Museum. We encourage everybody to come out. The address is 220 North Market Street. It's been closed for some time, and we're excited to have it reopened. We encourage all interested members of the public to come join us, see what the museum looks like today, and get familiar with the history of Port Hueneme. July 12th, we're going to have our movie night in July at the beach. It's going to be Finding Nemo. The next day, July 13th, we're going to have a yoga class, a free yoga class at Miranda Park, 9 a.m. July 20th, we're going to do something somewhat unique and have a kite festival at Hueneme Beach.
Oh,
we encourage everybody, bring your favorite kite, and if you don't have a kite, we will have kites to hand out to the first 50 participants. So you don't have to have a kite to participate. We want everybody to come out and have a great time at that event. July 25th, we're going to do something else a little bit unique. Staff is going to give interested residents a tour of our recreation corridor, starting at Bubbling Springs Park, going all the way down to the beach. They'll point out key points of interest for those that may not be familiar with all of the recreation features that we have. And it'll also be an opportunity for members of the public to speak to staff members, to ask questions and learn about the programs, the events that we put on here in Port Hueneme. And then lastly, July 31st, 3:30 p.m. at the community center, we're going to have a popsicle event. The purpose is twofold. One, the community center has been under renovation as we've been recuperating from the storms, and we just want to say thank you to all of our participants who have been rolling with it as we have gone through the renovation and repair process of the community center. We hope to have that done in mid to late July. So this will be a celebration of that. And we're also inviting our contractors and instructors to be present at that event so that people can learn about the programs that we offer, ask questions of the instructors, and hopefully drum up even more support than we already have. So just wanted to hit those highlights. And again, thanks to the Recreation and Community Services team for all their hard work.
Deputy City Manager, I have a question about kites. Is there any size requirements or limits for kites?
I'm going to answer that question by saying more details for the event will be produced, and we will put that together. I don't have the answer to that question, but I don't think there's going to be any limits on it, but we're going to put together a flyer and promote the information, so that'll be on social media, and we'll distribute that through our regular channels.
So if I have an 8-foot octopus, that's okay? Possibly.
I don't foresee a problem with that, but I actually am really looking forward to seeing the 8-foot
So you answered a question. I had a resident ask me if we could ever do kites, because we've never seen kites on the beach, I don't think, ever. And somebody thought that we had a restriction due to the Navy base or having kites. So that answers the question that we do not.
Yeah, none that we're aware of. We're moving forward with the event on our beach.
Okay, well, good to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I, Mayor, just quickly thank, and we have a great recreation and community services team. I think one thing people may not realize is it's actually a very small recreation and community services team. And so it's great because I can thank them all by name right now very quickly, and I'm going to do that. But it's a lot of work that a small group does. And so just as a thank you to Anna, our recreation manager, Taylor, Penny, Jason, and Veronica. And did I miss anybody, Charles? I don't think so. I mean, we have a lot of lifeguards, and thank you to all of them. But those are our key people who are putting all these programs together. So just a thank you to all of them for all that work for a very small group of people. So.
Absolutely. We appreciate our staff and the hard work they do. The final presentation is the Recreation, Education, Arts, and Culture in Hueneme, or better known as REACH, presentation by former Mayor Rich Rollins.
Before I get into my presentation, I just want to reiterate what a great recreation and park staff we have. And it's close to my heart because for 35 years, that was my profession, working in various cities. And you have a top-notch staff here, and they do some great creative things for our community. The other thing I want to just remunerate what Councilman Hernandez said. I went to that event just recently, the concert, and it warmed my heart. There were like hundreds of people. They had contemporary music. It's just what makes Hueneme, Hueneme. So now for the presentation. Approximately 8 years ago, the city of Port Hueneme was in poor financial condition. This was pre-cannabis era. The city had to make some major cutbacks to stay solvent. One such cutback was the elimination of the senior holiday luncheon, which serves traditional meals and fun entertainment to our older American population. We have over 200 people who participate in that. To prevent this, a few of us got together and did a fundraising campaign to save the event. We were so successful that we raised over $10,000, which was enough to keep the event going for a number, 2 or 3 years. Fueled by this success, we worked with City Council and staff to develop a permanent nonprofit corporation, which was called REACH, Recreation, Education, Arts, Culture in Hueneme. Our goal was to raise money for programs, organizations, and events that improve the quality of life within our community. By being nonprofit, we could seek out grants and tax-deductible donations that the city could not. Initially, the bylaws were established to have a board composed of representatives of city staff, the council, and various citizen leaders. In the early years, we were very successful to raise money for such programs as the Sea Cadets, the fledgling Real Guppies back then, elementary school programs, beach cleanup, community commemorative brick program, and other types of programs. A few years back, the board decided to hire a part-time executive director. The reasoning was a director could provide a more comprehensive fundraising campaign to allow Reach to do even greater things for our community. In addition, Reach agreed to partner with the city to sponsor the Hueneme Beach Hueneme Beach Festival as not only a community celebration, but as also a fundraiser to be able to do more things. These moves were not successful, and they had a reverse effect on our financial stability. Some of our board members chose to resign, and we no longer have a paid director. Our current situation. The remaining community members on the board took a look at this situation as an opportunity to reinvent Reach and make it a truly voluntary community program. We recently had an open house to encourage people to become a part of Reach, and it was quite successful. We had probably 10 to 15 people interested. One of our first orders of business now is going to be to improve our financial situation by conducting fundraisers in the coming year. We are looking to have 4 pickleball tournaments that will be both run and organized by Reach volunteers. Not only will this fulfill a community needs, but will also raise funds. We are looking to have the city co-sponsor these events and perhaps waive the court fees. We will have competitions for adults, seniors, and youth. We hope to raise anywhere between $500 to $2,000 per event over the next year, assuming they're successful. The first one is scheduled for August 24th and 5th, Saturday and Sunday. We hope you can all come out for that. In addition, we are working with Ocean View Pavilion to do a fundraising concert as a way to generate funds. Also in the plans are perhaps a fundraising dinner, again, to raise fees, raise money to be able to do things for our community. Recently, we received a donation from Apple to purchase trash picker-uppers. I'm not sure exactly what they're called, but they're those little grabbers that you do. And they donated $500 to Reach so that we could do that. In the future, we hope to partner with the city to conduct basketball leagues for youth and adults, a city beautification project, perhaps decorating the lifeguard towers and the utility boxes with some form of a mural and artwork, getting the kids involved in the development of that artwork, perhaps expanding the commemorative brick program. It's all sold out, folks. If you want a brick, you can't get a brick right now. But it has been very popular. And finally, perhaps doing a Xeriscape education program to teach kids and the community how to save water and still have a pretty garden. We are a flexible working group, and I emphasize working group. This is a big undertaking. We are raising the bar quite high for ourselves, but that's how good things happen. I would like to introduce at this point in time some of the board members who are currently here. We have your own Councilman Bobby Martinez. We have Tom Fiala. And we have Sharon Claris, who was just recently at the band concert, and a few others that my senior memory leaves me. But we're hoping to have basically the structure where we have a board and we have a large working group of volunteers as part of it. So that's basically about it. If you have any questions.
Does council have any questions for Mr. Rollins?
guess I do.
Okay.
So, the event that you're, the pickleball event, are you gonna come back for, a use permit or go through a process of
Yeah,
getting
it's,
permission to do that?
and that's, I think, one of the intents of today was to preview some of the programs Reach wants to do, and then those will be coming back as needed for approvals. So in that case, we do have a policy that any reservation of the court has to be for a nonprofit, and then the council approves it. So that will be coming to the council before that date. So that will come back to the council.
We're dark in August, so, yeah.
Yeah, one of the strategies behind it is because the courts are so popular, we've gotten a lot of interest from our people throughout the county to run events there. And a group of us have thought that what better way to do is to have the events kind of homegrown so that the money raised for that will go back into our community.
Let me first say that I love the sound of pickleball. I live close to the park, and
You're
it's
probably not many people like you.
no, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, because I could hear the screams of excitement, let's say, and it just makes me feel good to know that so many people are out there recreating and doing positive things. You know, because there was a time where people weren't doing positive things over there in the park, and I largely credit you, Mr. Rollins. It is bubbling over. You were the first one to bring pickleball to Miranda Park with your insistence, and the amount of people that come there every day, it's just wonderful, and I enjoy it, so I'll be cheering you on.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, one of the things that the council discussed earlier was how to bring in positive tourism. And because basically we have the best courts in the county right now, we have people not only locally participating, but we have people from throughout the county. And so when they come out, they go to places like Anna Cappuccino or the local restaurants, or maybe take a walk by the beach, may never have even known we existed except for those courts. So that's kind of a neat thing.
Yeah.
And
I agree. I really enjoy it, and so can't wait to. I'm not a good pickleball player, but I'll definitely volunteer and help you in any way I can.
I will teach you. And I'm not going to stay for the rest of the commission meeting. It's a little personal note, because I found out a week ago that my son, one of the people that he manages, is going to be performing at the White House. If you ever see July 4th, they have the music and all that. And he got us tickets to the grandstand to go see the 4th of July. And then afterward, we get to go to the White House for a tour and stuff.
Wow.
So
Well, have a safe
normally
trip.
I lasted out, but my wife told me get the heck out of here. So
Thank you, Mr. Rollins. Have a safe trip.
you're welcome.
We will now move on to the consent calendar. We will consider items on the consent calendar which will be enacted in one motion unless a council member has a request to remove an item for discussion. Do any council members have a request to remove an item? Seeing none, may I have a
Actually, I just want a little more information on number 8. Is there a
So then let's approve items 1 through 7. Do I have a motion? Oh, sorry, 4 through, yeah.
I'd move to approve 4 through 7.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
My question is, what does it look like? I was just wondering the scope of it, because I know there are some real fancy ones out there, but if you could just,
Yes, and
Share.
I think we do have a photo of those, right?
Yes, if Georgia, the city clerk will please pull it up.
These are the locations. Oh, shoot.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Is that what the blue things are?
Those are going to be the locations that we've selected for these containers. Those are all bus stops because the funding came through the Gold Coast Transit District. So we had applied for, and received funding for these containers to be put at these locations. I don't know if any of you have gone down to downtown Ventura. They have the same types of containers. So basically, these are, and we brought this a few years ago. We were looking to maybe do something out at the beach. They are enclosed, so they're tamper resistant. They're solar powered. They're compact. They're actually solar powered compactors.
I have seen them in other cities. Larger cities have them now. And they're, okay, they look like a really fancy trash can,
Yes.
a high-tech trash can.
They are, and they also have software, so we can collect data from them. We have they have applications that we can use on a computer or phone, which will theoretically cut down on visits because we can set the limits of when we want to be notified when they need to be serviced. So rather than having to go to check them all the time, they'll tell us when they need to be checked. And they have the ones we ordered. We actually have the ability to put advertisements in them, or you can wrap them with different kinds of art. So there's a lot of different things we can do to promote events or have other types of advertising that might go in there, or notifications that we want to get out to the public.
For public information, what is the initial purpose that you would want to put one of these items in? What's the
Well,
goal?
it helps. I mean, a lot of it is we're hoping that it will help with just general cleanliness, because some of the trash cans that we have out there now, people dig through them, birds get into them, it makes a mess. That stuff ends up getting blown by the wind or washed away in the rain, and it ends up in our storm drains and ends up out on the beach, which the beach cleanups can testify to. So that is the main purpose of this, is to try and keep something that can't be tampered with, and try and keep the locations where they're set to be a cleaner place.
So they can't be tampered with, and are they heavy so they can't be stolen?
Yes, they are heavy, and they also can be mounted. So you have a concrete pad, we can attach them to the concrete, or you can attach them to different locations. They have different ways you can attach them so they're not movable, but they are heavy. If they weren't attached to something, someone could, or a couple of people would be able to do something with them. They're not going to be able to get into them unless they really made a great effort to do that.
So it's like a compactor, right? It will compact it.
Correct.
And then it'll notify you when it's time to go. And then how much compaction will happen, and do you have an idea of what the weight is? And I'm just curious, because I really
They're
think it's a great idea.
50-gallon containers, right? Receptacles?
Could you repeat that for the recording?
Oh, 50-gallon containers, but with the compaction, they're about 150 gallons worth of trash that can be picked into one collection.
Perfect.
Nice.
Any further? Oh, go ahead.
So are these for public use? Or-
Yes.
So the public can access
Yes,
these and dump their trash?
you can put stuff in them, you just can't take anything back out once you put it in there.
Okay.
And
And are they, do they take recycled
Yes.
materials? Are they?
We're going to
separated?
have a dual station, so one for trash and one for recycling.
Okay, okay, great.
then if I could just make the point that this is a good opportunity and a good test project, essentially, because we're able to put these in at the bus stops using the Gold Coast Transit District TDA funding. So it's just a good opportunity for us to try them out, and we're hearing from other cities that they work and people like them. So we're trying to start with putting them at our bus stops. So.
Thank you. Any further questions? Can I have a motion to approve item 8?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have no public hearings tonight, and the next item is the business items, and the first one on the list is the smoking in multi-unit residential buildings, survey results, and consideration of city regulations. Will staff please present the report?
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, members of the public, city staff. Item number 9 is presented in response to the City Council's request to survey property managers and owners regarding potential smoking regulations in multi-unit residential buildings. So as by way of quick background, last November, the council received some public comments advocating for smoking prohibitions in apartment buildings. Council reviewed a report regarding that topic at the subsequent meeting in early December. And as a result of that review and the council's discussion, council provided direction to reach out to property owners and managers to obtain feedback about the level of support and or concern regarding such smoking regulations. A survey was developed and distributed in February, and responses were received by the city through the month of March. More than 6 commercial properties were contacted and 31 points of contact were established. In total, the city ended up receiving 13 responses. The results indicate that property managers and owners do not receive many smoking-related complaints. 7 respondents indicated that they've never had a complaint, while 5 indicated a frequency of less than once per month. Only 1 property owner or manager indicated that they receive between 1 and 4 complaints per month. 10 of the 13 respondents indicated that they currently have a smoking policy in place. The survey also sought information about the locations where smoking restrictions might be supported. 12 of the 13 respondents expressed support for prohibiting smoking in individual units. That includes 1 respondent that checked the other box and expressed support for prohibition in all areas. Restrictions in common areas and patios were also topics that received widespread support from the respondents. The last question focused on policy enforcement, and 8 of the respondents that have smoking prohibitions, 8 respondents indicated that they have existing smoking prohibitions, 5 of which indicated that they have established property rules, and that is how it's enforced, and 3 indicated that they currently have language in their property lease agreements. And that's the enforcement mechanism that is used. In summary, the survey results indicate support for smoking regulations in multi-unit residential buildings. If the city were to consider adopting such regulations, it should consider and give direction to staff regarding the method of enforcement, keeping in mind costs and expectations for enforcement, as well as educational outreach that the city would need to conduct. As noted in the report, and as I believe discussed last year in the presentations before council, the City of Moore Park's ordinance required property owners to incorporate language regarding the prohibition in their leases, to post signage, and to remove all smoking amenities from common areas. That city assisted the property owners by providing sample language for property leases and assisted with the distribution of educational information. So in summary, the recommendation is for the council to receive and review the information in the staff report, to consider public input received, and provide appropriate direction to staff.
Thank you, Mr. Peretz. Does council have any questions for staff at this time?
Early in your survey, you said that a number of respondents said they do have a smoking policy. So are we to interpret that mean that they don't allow smoking inside the rooms, or could it be that they allow smoking on balconies or in common areas? Or
Yeah, they have a smoking policy. The degree to which the prohibition applies will vary from property to property. Some may disallow it just in individual units and may also extend that to common areas and balcony areas. So there's not a one-size-fits-all. It's just that there is an existence of a prohibition of some kind.
Thank you, Mr. Peretz, for your report and the survey. I can see a lot of work went into this. I got my question answered about the cannabis businesses and the vaping businesses as to whether or not they were contacted. My concern there is just if we do request stronger language and set up enforcement procedures on the city side. My concern is what this could do to the cannabis economy and the vape shops. Just wondering. I don't know if we're there yet. Depends, I guess, what action we take on this. But it seems to me that we have HOAs who are enforcing or have a policy that there are a number of them that have policies in place and they're enforcing them themselves. So why would the city go further than that? If the HOAs are already doing their own thing.
Well, the city doesn't have to go further than that. We have the option of going further than that, and I think that typically the discussion involves sometimes the property owners ask for cities to put rules in place to give their rules more teeth, and so that they have, the backing of the city in enforcing. Because sometimes, just like us, the property owners struggle to get compliance with all of their rules and those types of things. So I think that's probably what was reflected in most of the comments. I think we did have one comment from somebody opposing the idea. It sort of just said, don't tell people what to do in their houses, basically. But most of the comments that we had were along the lines of saying, we try to do this and we try to enforce it, but it's a challenge. So I'd appreciate, that extra level. I think the caveat that I have been upfront with and told everybody is that we don't have the resources to really enforce this aggressively. And so just to give people an idea of if the city were to have to go through a process and get a warrant and go into somebody's house and enforce something like this, you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's not something that we would typically enforce. But what we've heard and what we've seen in other cities is they adopt these things to give those property owners who want to enforce it an extra level of support there. And we did reach out to Moore Park because Moore Park was cited as the example city when this was first brought to the council. And we did reach out, and that is essentially what Moore Park has done. So,
Mayor Pro Tem, do you have a question?
For the city manager first. So are there any other cities in the county that have the no smoking ordinance?
Only Moore Park. Yeah. And so Moore Park adopted it, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. No. I think Joan was letting us know that I think Calabasas might have one as well, but
They're on the
LA County, yeah. But so, and there's a strong, so that's one we could look at too. But Moore Park is the city in our county that's done it, and they've taken basically the same approach as far as making a rule to help the property owners, but not typically enforcing it. When I had reached out to them, they hadn't enforced it at any point.
Yeah, their assistance is effectively, you can contact their code enforcement. They'll provide letters. They don't do too many active enforcements. It's reactive in response to complaints. And they did assist with the educational campaign and created a flyer so that everybody could understand what the new ordinance was about.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, that I think, I think some of the speakers will note this too, is I think one of the ideas when cities do this is the way the city is helpful is the education piece and doing the public information, public outreach, letting people know, and just kind of letting people know that it's a new rule, and then also just getting people to think twice about it, because a lot of people, I don't think it's something you do think twice naturally about, because you're thinking you're in your home, and then with the education, letting people know why this is a thing that they shouldn't be doing. So.
Okay, just a couple more questions. So we had a survey, right? Based on the report, it says there were 63 properties identified. It said 31 provided points of contact information, and our report is based on 13 responses. Okay, just want to make sure that
Those are correct numbers.
Okay, and so do we believe 13 responses is enough to really understand it, topic, or how people feel?
I think that's a fair question for the council to consider.
Okay, thank you.
So we don't have any idea how successful Moore Park's program is really in deterring smoking, I guess, at this point?
Yeah, I think it's sort of like what's the goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And I think for them, talking to some of their leadership there, they wanted to do the educational piece. They wanted to help those property owners enforce, give them the extra enforcement tools. So I think they look at that as successful. But if you're measuring it by, has the city gone out and stopped this from happening? I don't think that's how they've measured it.
So I don't know if I can mention it, but one of the public comments that we received had some really interesting information, 3 different levels of enforcement. I don't know if everyone had a chance to look at it. We were emailed.
Oh, we have none here?
But yes, I was going to ask if we have any public comments here, but that would be something that maybe Joan could take a look at to see if any of those things are.
Different levels.
And Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments on this item?
We do. Did you want me to start with the written or in person?
Whatever your heart desires.
Okay, I'll start with the in person. Javier Garnica.
Good evening, council members, members of the public. My name is Javier Garnica. I am the Port Hueneme Youth Organizer with Future Leaders of America. I am here to express my support for a smoke-free multi-unit housing ordinance here for the city of Port Hueneme. The home is the main place where children and adults breathe in second and third-hand smoke. According to the CDC, an estimated 27 to 28 million people are exposed to second and third-hand smoke due to infiltration from neighboring units or shared areas. And according to the Latino Coordinating Center, second-hand smoke kills 41,000 people who do not smoke per year. This is people who do not smoke. Passing a smoke-free ordinance would benefit not just tenants, but property owners as well. As the results of the survey the city conducted shows that there is great support for a smoke-free ordinance. Some already prohibit smoking in their complexes, and others would welcome an ordinance to help maintain their property smoke-free. We know that enforcing such an ordinance might be a challenge, but we believe that following an educational approach to enforcement may reduce costs and be more proactive in helping smokers quit, as well as educate residents on the dangers of second and third-hand smoke. The city of Carpinteria is currently in the process of passing a smoke-free ordinance where they will be using an educational approach to their enforcement. Carpinteria's ordinance can serve as a model that Port Hueneme can use to draft theirs. I actually forgot to print out the model ordinance so that I could share it with y'all, but I'll make sure to email that to all of you. And they had a similar concern about the enforcement as well. So I think using them as a model as well will help y'all out a lot. But yeah, we should not hesitate to act to protect the health of our community, our loved ones, and the most vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ernesto J. Carrillo.
Good afternoon, City Council members. My name is Ernesto Carrillo, and I am a Port Hueneme community member. Thank you for adding smoke-free multi-unit housing to tonight's agenda, as well as conducting a property survey on the topic and considering potential options for prohibiting smoking in multi-unit housing. We hope that tonight we will take action to address the issues that affects current and future renters, including children and the most vulnerable and our loving pets. As estimated in prior meetings, there is no safe level of exposure to secondhand smoke. An estimated 2 out of every 5 children are exposed to secondhand smoke in the United States. Second and third-hand smoke in multi-unit housing disproportionately affects the Latin and low-income communities and their families, who make up the majority of occupants living in multi-unit housing. I want to stress that smoke-free ordinance benefits not only community members' health, but also property owners. A recent study found that costs in properties that allow smoking everywhere were nearly double the amount related costing incurred at smoke-free properties. An estimated 7,600 smoking-related fires occur in residential buildings each year in the United States. States and statewide surveys also demonstrate that as many as 78% of residents, including smokers, will choose to live in a smoke-free complex. Your survey as property owners mirrors these statistics. From what I read, most property owners already have smoke-free policies, and others will welcome such policies to support them in maintaining smoke-free properties. I believe the solution is simple. We should act the best interest in our residents by ensuring the safety of our community, children, and most vulnerable for second and third-hand smoke. Nobody should have to sacrifice their health for affordable housing. Thank you so much for your time.
Jose Martin.
Good evening, council members. My name is Jose Martin. I am the Carpinteria Community Engagement Coordinator for Future Leaders of America. I am here today with others who are in support of prohibiting second and third-hand smoke in multi-unit housing. The city of Port Hueneme prides itself on being a small city that protects its locals. An area often ignored is within apartments and condominiums, where families are affected by second and third-hand smoke. According to the American Non-Smokers' Rights Foundation, 2 out of every 5 children, including 7 out of 10 African American children, are exposed to second and third-hand smoke. Despite the tremendous progress the U.S. has made in eliminating second-hand smoke in workplaces and public places, much progress remains to be achieved in protecting everyone's right to breathe smoke-free air at home. Currently, the city of Carpinteria in the neighboring county is working towards passing a similar policy due to the hard work of our youth. If passing a policy like this is possible in a more affluent city like Carpinteria, why not here? So I understand that you were talking about enforcing policies. So the city can rely on nonprofits that can do the education aspect of enforcement. So let's take action now to ensure the safety of the residents of Port Hueneme and ensure the community remains smoke-free. Thank you.
That concludes in-person public comment. I will start with a written comment. Good afternoon, City Council members. My name is Danielle Gonzalez, and I am the Organizing Director of Future Leaders of America. Thank you for adding smoke-free multi-unit housing to tonight's agenda, as well as conducting a property survey on the topic and considering potential options for prohibiting smoking in multi-unit housing. We hope that tonight you will take action to address this issue that affects current and future renters, including children, the most vulnerable, and our lovely pets. As mentioned in prior meetings, there is no safe level of exposure to secondhand smoke, and an estimated 2 out of every 5 children are exposed to secondhand smoke in the United States. Second and third-hand smoke in multi-unit housing disproportionately affects the Latinx and low-income communities and their families, who make up a majority of the occupants living in multi-unit housing. I want to stress that smoke-free ordinances benefit not only our community members' health, but also property owners. A recent study found that costs in properties that allow smoking everywhere were nearly double that of smoking-related costs incurred at smoke-free properties. An estimated 7,600 smoking-related fires occur in residential buildings each year in the United States. Several statewide surveys also demonstrated that as many as 78% of residents, including smokers, would choose to live in a smoke-free complex. Your survey of property owners mirrors these statistics. From what I read, most property owners already have smoke-free policies, and others would welcome such a policy to support them in maintaining smoke-free properties. The solution is simple. We should act in the best interest of our residents by ensuring the safety of our community, children, and the most vulnerable from a second and third-hand smoke. Nobody should have to sacrifice their health for affordable housing. Respectfully submitted, Daniel Gonzalez. And then the following written comments were received but will not be read in their entirety since they were submitted directly to council and have been made available to the public on the website, and copies are included with the agenda packet in the back. Yanith Rodriguez provided a letter with information that includes research findings from USC related to smoke-free multi-unit housing, and provided a resource made available by Law the Policy Partnership to End the Commercial Tobacco Epidemic that guides decision makers on the best options for equitable enforcement as it relates to smoke-free multi-unit housing policies. Additionally, we have received a letter of support from the Americans for Non-Smokers' Rights and a letter from the California Apartment Association requesting that the ordinance apply to all smoking, including marijuana, has an adequate phase-in period, contains no requirements for no smoking signs, and provides liability protection for landlords if tenants or their guests smoke in a unit. And that concludes public comment.
Thank you. So the recommendation is to receive the data from the survey pertaining to potential smoking prohibitions in multi-unit housing and provide direction regarding future actions. Does council have any further discussion on this item?
I do. Excuse me. Appreciate your tenacity, future leaders of America. We've been engaged with you now for 6 years, and I really admire the passion and the work that you're bringing to this. And I think I said this the very first time we interacted here in a council meeting. When I was 8 years old, I had my tonsils out. I was in the hospital, and people were smoking from their hospital beds. When I was in high school, football coach would be smoking a cigarette on the sideline while we're playing football. This is probably unbelievable to you, but when we would go to class, some teachers would be out in front of their classroom door smoking 2 or 3 cigarettes in that 5-minute break. Believe it? It's true. So focusing on the positive, because of your efforts, we've made strong gains. And I mean, there used to be cigarettes everywhere. And so the government started taxing them to address some of the health issues, and then the usage is going down. So my point is that I think that through education, there's a fly harassing me, but through education, I think we could appeal to the common sense and the courtesy of people. Now, when I lived at Beachport Villas, I had a neighbor that the wife and the husband smoked inside their house, probably 2 packs a day between the two of them. And the smoke was coming into my house. It was horrible. And so having an ordinance is great, but if you're living next to somebody like I did, and I had to put plastic on the vent, I had to try to stop it, right? And it was horrible. So I understand where this is coming, but I believe that we could appeal to the common decency of most people, and most people would respond. And I would, I don't know, we don't have an action on this tonight, so we're not going to take action tonight. But anything that we would do, I would like to see heavy-handed on education and enforcement. We would have, we have, this is not going to sound right, but you know, the police have a very difficult job in policing our community, and I don't think it would be a good use of their time to be enforcing this. So that's the problem, is like, how do we enforce it? But I do believe the efforts that you're doing are really good, and I would continue to do those efforts, and perhaps that we could look at this as a not to eradicate inside smoking, but to bring information and education to people who may not realize how much. Because I know in my case, it wasn't good. It was terrible. It came into my bathroom, into my bedroom, and it was just not good. So I have a lot of empathy for anybody that's going through that, and I would hope that you could appeal to the common decency of your neighbors and get them to understand. And maybe we could help in that, in the education piece. So thank you so much for staying on this issue, and congratulations for your accomplishments in Carpinteria.
So we don't necessarily have a motion, but we can make a motion for something.
Well, it says direct regarding
Correct.
future action.
Yes.
Yeah, so a
Councilmember
couple, as an
Martinez?
we'll get to that. I think.
Thank you, Mayor Perez. In response to Councilmember Gama's comment, I agree, and I think an ordinance would support our local residents and the businesses, the multi-unit housing, for them to enforce it. And that being said, I'd like to recommend that the council direct staff to draft an ordinance to prohibit smoking in multi-unit residencies, similar to that of Moore Park, and maybe even do a little bit more research and come back with the ordinance for us.
Do we need a second on that? I will second it.
That requires a second or further discussion or a new motion.
But yes, no, I think there's a lot of work to do. I just don't feel that I'm smart enough about it just yet, and so I would like to, I don't know if I'm asking for an ordinance, but I would like some additional information on what might be the options that we can take here in Port Hueneme that we could actually either enforce or at least have a clear idea about what are some of the things we can do, and then let us come up with what it is that we think is the right thing, and then allow them to go get it, write an ordinance around that, rather than write one now without having that dialogue.
Is there any support for that?
So, go ahead.
Yeah, I can support it. I just feel like we don't have enough information right now. I mean, I like all the public comments that were submitted. That helps a great deal in pointing out the problem. But the solution, I don't even know if the solution is in the Moore Park example. I'd like to see what we already have in place, and then how it might be modified to provide better, I don't want to say enforcement, but to educate, better guidance on how people can reduce the impact of their smoking on their neighbors.
So I agree with that as well. I'm not ready to create an ordinance, but there was some, as I mentioned earlier, there was some information given in a public comment that we should look at that had 3 options of support or enforcement types that I would like to consider and look at. And then take a look at the Carpinteria ordinance. I would like to know what they're doing and how that could possibly help us, and then compare it with more parks and see where we can find something that works for our community.
I have a point of order. So we have a motion and a second, and is that applicable to what the discussion is taken?
I'd like to offer an alternate motion. So I move that the staff go back, provide us some options, and allow us to look through what those possibilities are before we move forward with an ordinance.
And take a look at the Carpinteria.
Yeah, and let me keep adding. Now, we know Moore Park has an ordinance, and we hear that Carpinteria is working on one. But I'd also like to know if any of the Ventura County cities have moved forward and hit any hiccup to where they could not move forward, or they had. So I want to know, as much as we can know.
Do we have a second for this?
I'll second.
Are we clear on the motion, Madam Clerk?
Yes. And
Okay.
Return with more analysis and more options and explanation of potential issues rather than just an ordinance.
Okay.
Okay. I will do a roll call vote. So, Councilmember Martinez?
I thought we could have done it now, but I think that this is a good, it's in a positive direction. So just so you guys know, my vote is yes.
Okay. Councilmember Gama?
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem McQueen-Lejeune?
Yes.
And Mayor Perez?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
If you guys want to share that Carpinteria information with us, and I know you have my email, so you can share that with us, and then we'll let you know when it's coming back. So.
Thank you. The next item is the adoption of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme, California, revising the city's outdoor flagpole display policy to include flying the POW MIA flag on specified dates. And our Deputy City Manager giving that report? Oh, got it, okay.
The city attorney's going to give you that
Perfect.
report. Thank you, Ms. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, staff, and audience. When we were here on May 6, 2024, the City Council approved a resolution establishing an outdoor flagpole policy. The policy outlines a procedure for this council to review requests to display commemorative flags below the city flag on the city-owned flagpoles. So during the request for future agenda items at that meeting, the May 6th meeting, Mayor Perez made a motion for a future consideration of flying the POW MIA flag, and that motion was seconded by Councilmember Hernandez and approved by a 4-0 vote. So according to the city's policy, city flagpoles are designated as a platform for government speech, and they are not a public forum. The policy requires the city council approval in order to display commemorative flags. You know that you already display the pride flag during the month of June, and this would be for the MIA POW flag to be flown on 5 specific dates, and that is Armed Forces Day, which is the 3rd Saturday in May, Memorial Day, the last Monday in May, Independence Day, which is July 4, the National POW MIA Recognition Day, which is the 3rd Friday of September, and also Veterans Day, November 11. We brought this to you particularly because of the significance of the base and our relations with the military. We are also members on the Regional Defense Partnership and the Association of Defense Communities. So based upon the important role that the base plays in our community, and to honor those held in captivity as well as those that remain missing, the City Council may wish to consider amending its policy, outdoor flag policy, to allow the POW MIA flag to be flown at City Hall.
Thank you. Does council have any questions for our city attorney?
I have one question.
Go ahead, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Attorney, Ms. Attorney, for Joan Smythe.
Joan.
For your report. It was well done. I do have a question as far as the dates that are being proposed here, the holidays or the days. Where did these come from? Did we consult with maybe Tom Fiala or somebody from the Navy base?
Yes, and I believe it was specifically with the VFW that we consulted, and
Okay.
those were the suggested dates.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we did that. Thank you.
Perfect. Councilmember Gama?
Did I hear that our policy is not current with our current actions?
Well, the existing policy was simply to allow for the pride flag to be flown. For any other commemorative flag that the council may wish to fly, the policy requires that come to the council, and then you'd be amending that resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Fiala was not here anymore. I actually was looking at there was actually an additional day. I can't remember what that is right now, so just wanted to make sure if there is another day, if we have a complete list.
Yeah.
Maybe it's no Flag Day?
Flag Day's on there, Independence Day, Veterans Day, Armed Forces Day.
Yeah, I think that was the complete list from
That
our
was the
discussion.
complete list.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would just like to add that I was in Santa Paula for their Citrus Music Festival, and they had a POW flag flying on a pole next to the American and California flag.
Okay. Are there any public comments regarding this item?
We have one written public comment. Dear Port Hueneme City Council members, my name is Jasmine Duran, and I am representing Autism Society Ventura County's Advocacy Committee. Our committee would like to thank you for bringing back the addition of the POW MIA flag policy after adding the pride flag into your flag policy last month. Today, we reaffirm our support of adding the MIA and POW flags to the flag policy. These flags serve as reminders of the sacrifices made by brave servicemen and women who have defended our freedoms, often at great personal cost. A commitment to flying the pride flag and our military flags reinforces the message of inclusivity and unity, reflecting the diverse tapestry of experiences and identities that make Port Hueneme so unique and special. Thank you for your continued leadership in advancing social justice and equality in Port Hueneme. It is clear that you listen to your constituents, and we are grateful. Thank you for your time. Jasmine Duran, Advocacy and Community Impact Coordinator with Autism Society of Ventura County. And that concludes public comment.
All right, thank you. The recommendation is to consider whether to adopt a resolution entitled Resolution of the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme, California, revising the city's outdoor flagpole display policy to include flying the POW MIA flag on specified dates. Do I have a motion and a second?
I move approval.
Second.
No further discussion? Not seeing it?
We're flying the American flag, right? And California
Always.
flag?
Yeah.
Okay, then we're good. We're good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. The next item is the Surfside Drive improvements, including pilot program for rubberized raised meridians at the intersection of Surfside Drive and Market Street. We have our engineer, Charles Cable, to present the report.
Good evening, Mayor Perez, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, staff, and members of the public. For the record, my name is Charles Cable, Principal Engineer of the City of Port Hueneme Public Works Department. Today, I'm presenting a recommendation to the council to approve the installation of a pilot program for placing painted and rubberized raised medians at the Surfside and Market Street intersection and along Surfside Drive. This program aims to reduce reckless driving maneuvers like donuts along Surfside Drive and increase traffic calming. The city has received numerous complaints from residents along Surfside Drive about donuts in the area. City staff has made efforts to address these issues, such as increasing traffic enforcement. However, we realize additional efforts are needed. Public Works staff consulted with a traffic engineer to provide recommendations to address the complaints. The traffic engineer provided several recommendations, of which a painted and raised rubberized median was selected as the most effective and appropriate. The installation of the raised medians would be a temporary solution to evaluate its effectiveness over a period of time. The duration of the pilot program would be 12 months with regular assessments and potential adjustments based on the observed outcomes and community feedback. The pilot program will require an initial investment for the design and construction of raised medians. Funding can be allocated from the city's gas tax fund. The Public Works Department is also investigating potential funding for this and other traffic calming projects from the Southern California Association of Governments, SCAG Quick Build Program. The estimated cost for the pilot project is $10,000. However, at this time, staff recommends that City Council authorize staff to utilize a not to exceed $25,000 from the city's speed cushion account as funding is available in that location. The additional funding would be available if any changes are needed during the pilot program. In addition to the raised curb medians, we will be adding a rectangular rapid flashing beacon at the crosswalk on Surfside to increase pedestrian safety. That completes the report.
Thank you. Any council comments? Mr. Gama?
I have a question. So is that a depiction of what it's going to look like there?
Yeah, so this was included in the council packet, but we have a blow up on the next page of what it's going to look like, more detail. That actually is a blow up of the intersection. And the design is that way so that during the dredging operation, large vehicles can get into the promenade. And so that is what it's going to look like. And we have a specification sheet that shows the rubberized medians. You can go to the next page. That's it. That's what it's going to look like.
So I'm having a little difficulty seeing the wisdom behind the previous slide. I mean, it's still, I could see the donut right there. So are these black marks raised medium? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that's what they are.
And so they, I can see it a little better now, but I can just trying to understand how, if a driver is not satisfied with the donut area, is he or she going to just move to the left and spin out in the areas where there is no cushion? Or is the driver going to go to parking lot B? or C. So I'm just trying to understand. I don't get it.
So these are non-existing there. To clarify, that these are proposed, and it's a pilot program. So we would put this in this area because this is where we're getting the most complaints, and we would extend this down Surfside Drive if we feel like this option is working for us.
So the configuration there, the intent is they won't be able to do the donut, hopefully, because if the median blocks them from going over, there's going to be a rubber bump where they won't be able to go over that median.
Those little dashes are the cushions.
Those little dashes
Yes.
are the cushions, and then on so they're typically in the median going down the street, but as you can see, there's two areas there because that area might have still been wide enough where they could go into that little cul-de-sac, for lack of a better word, and do the loop. But those bumps will be added to prevent them from being able to do that.
So could you just extend the cushions rather than, like, I don't know. I don't understand the curvy part. I can't show you with my finger.
So I think what he's asking
Are you
is,
talking about the ones that say that the number 1 and 2 arrows are
Yes.
pointing at?
Yes.
So the intent there is so that they don't go in and like in close to the curb and do the donut still. So there's going to be some bumps there to prevent them from doing that.
Because it's a wide area.
Because that area is the one wide area. The rest of the street, it's not wide enough, shouldn't be wide enough for them to be able to do the donut still without potentially running into one of the bumps. Basically.
Right, and then let's say this is effective at stopping it here, then where do they go from here?
There's always the possibility that you fix it in one location and they find another. And I think we've been pretty successful right now where it seems like this is the area where they are congregating. So we're trying to address that. But that's part of the whole idea with doing it as a pilot project, and we will report back if we see that it creates a bigger problem somewhere else.
Correct. And I just want to point out that these are adjustable. So we bolt these down to the ground similar to our speed cushions. So we can move these out or in as we evaluate the program.
and then let's just be honest. I mean, we can't control everybody's behavior. I mean, I've seen them do donuts in front of the port late at night. You've said some of the parking, areas in the beach, but I guess this is a step forward. But I think the other question he had was, or I have at least, which ones are you going to utilize the zipper zeros, the zebra zeros, the zebra planters?
Can we see
We
the?
turn it into an art
Are
project?
there any?
Do you know? Because I'm assuming
I
those
don't think so.
those are two different ones that are going to be used, but I don't know if it was clear to me which ones we were going to use. I like the zipper zeros, but that's just my opinion.
All the public works team knows I hate zebra dillos. I had a bad experience with them in a prior city, so they've recommended the bus curb.
It's the same manufacturer that does our speed cushions. It's not an abrupt stop like the Ziklas. The Ziklas was recommended in the memo that the traffic engineer prepared, but those are made in Europe, and like I said, they're more abrupt. So if somebody hits it hard, or a cyclist,
They're gonna ruin their transmission and.
yeah, or a cyclist could get injured.
That's gonna happen. Not their transmission, but they're in their suspension.
Yeah.
is gonna
Correct.
be
So real quick, so we're not going with the zipper
We're
zeros?
not going with those. We're going with the bus lane ones on the third sheet there.
Can you scroll down and so we could take a look at that?
Yeah, I
I
think
saw
they're
it
on
briefly.
the. If Georgiana, can you scroll down?
They're the last attachment on the handout.
So it looks like you're going to put like 30 or 40 of them, maybe even more?
Okay.
37.
Yeah.
I think that's not gonna be good for them if they try to roll over that.
So this is what they look like.
Yeah, that's an installation picture.
I think something is needed. I just want to hope that whatever we do is can stand the test of time. I just have a feeling these enterprising future NASCAR wannabe drivers, I don't know, might see this as another opportunity to do something silly.
Well, one problem at a time, right?
Yeah, I would say
We can't fix the world. We can only do one little thing at a time.
I think the comment about standing the test of time. I think these are literally intended to be a test project. You know, so it's actually, if this works, then we can come back and talk about like permanent improvements that can have that same impact. And so these really are a pilot project. So.
Any further questions?
No.
Do we have any public comments on this item?
No public comment.
All right, so the recommendation is to consider, oops, wrong page. To receive information on city efforts to address concerns related to Surfside Drive and improve the installation of a pilot program for placing painted and rubberized raised mediums. Do we have a motion and a second?
I'd like to make the motion and to make sure that they're not the zebra type.
Yeah, the rubber form bus lane curve, I second that. That was your recommendation,
Yes, that's
right?
the recommendation.
So I second that recommendation.
Madam Clerk?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The final item for this section is the Measure U recommendation to provide graffiti removal kits.
Yeah, and I'll keep this pretty brief. We've been working with our Transaction Use Tax and Citizen Oversight Committee, the Measure U Committee. We've been working with the committee proactively in the last 6 months to really work with each other to identify needs in the budget that fall in line with the goals of the Measure U funding and what we committed to use Measure U funding for. And in the most recent Measure U committee meeting, we went through a bunch of the proposed projects. And at that point, that same week, we had, it was a bad week as far as graffiti goes. That was the week, people may remember, where Bubbling Springs Park got hit like 4 or 5 times in 1 week with pretty large graffiti. And so it was on everybody's mind. And so the Measure U committee had wanted to talk about some ideas that of things we can do to kind of stay focused on graffiti and improving issues related to graffiti. And so when we were talking about it, I think the consensus was on public property, the city is actually pretty responsive, and we tend to get out there quick and take care of it before, just kind of send the message that we don't allow graffiti in our community. But we started to talk about the issues related to private property, and the comments about that the challenge tends to be when they get somebody's private property and then the city can't go on their property and take care of the graffiti on the private property. And so the committee had asked for some, is there anything we could do related to graffiti on private property? And so we talked a little bit about one thing that a few cities have implemented and has had positive reactions is to provide a number of graffiti removal kits, which are just essentially buckets with, glasses, protective eyeglasses, brushes, and the graffiti remover spray or chemical solvent, yeah. And so we talked about that, and the committee was interested in trying that out and providing some of those to residents so that if somebody gets graffiti on their private property, that at least they have some tools to be able to take care of it. And so as part of that, in this year's budget, we recommended earmarking about $2,500, which would be enough to order about 100 kits to start. And so we are recommending that we move forward with that. The kits are about $25 each, and there's 2 different kinds of kits for different surface types. So we're recommending just starting with ordering half in each and providing those and making them available while supplies last. We would publicize that they're available. The kits would be branded with Port Hueneme logos and things like that. We'd publicize that they were available to the community, and then we'd expect to, when we provide them, just have an acknowledgement signed that clarifies that the city's not responsible for, for if somebody gets hurt using them or anything like that, but, which we don't anticipate, but, so we would do that as part of our process. So we recommend at this point taking the $2,500 and ordering 100 of the kits and trying it out and going from there. So we're recommending council approve that.
Thank you. Does council have any questions?
I do.
Go ahead, Ms.
Okay, so I did
Hernandez.
send a list of questions today to Joan and to James, and I just thought I'd share them with the rest of the council and with the community here. My first question, and I say this because Kevin would be the first person to raise this issue, is this a gift of public funds? And I don't know if I didn't get an answer to that from you, Joan. So, I mean, would this be considered a gift of public funds if we're giving kits away?
It could be.
Okay.
It could be. I don't have an answer for that one right off the top of my head, but it could be a gift of public funds.
If I could maybe just add that many cities do this, including people may have in their garages. Oxnard used to give these out every year.
Oxnard
too.
does it
Yeah,
too?
they have. I don't know if they kept the funding available for it in this year or recent years, but the graffiti action kits are. We wouldn't be the first city to
Okay,
try it.
that's good to know. I like the kits. I like the way they look. You didn't mention paint, though. Do they not come with paint?
They don't come with paint. They come with the solvent to remove paint.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Mhm.
So putting the city logo on, we're not going to put it on the solvent, are we?
No, it'd be on the bucket that everything comes in.
Okay. Because I'm concerned about the solvent ending up somewhere where it shouldn't be or not properly disposed. What if somebody wants to get rid of it and they bring it back to us for disposal? Are we going to take possession of it if they don't want it and dispose of it? Because there's costs associated with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't anticipate that we would take anything back, but that's something we could look at.
Okay. It was like the sandbags, we gave out the sandbags and then people
We
wanted
had
to
to
give
get
them
'em
back
back.
to us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we're thinking of all possibilities here.
Councilmember Gama?
Yes. The high school district is an expert in graffiti removal kits. And there's a citrus-based aerosol spray, which is extremely effective. So I think it might be a good idea to contact Superintendent McCoy and see what they use, because they've been dealing with this issue for years and years and years, and they have every grounds maintenance office has these graffiti kits, and I've seen them in action, and they work very well. So maybe we could get away from solvents. There might be other products out there that might be better suited.
I had one more question, and did you want to say something, Joan?
I will.
Okay. So the other question I had was, would the kits be available to businesses as well?
We could make them available. I think typically they're focused at residential, and you require that they show some proof that they live in the city. So that's what we had sort of designed it in mind with, but it could be available to businesses who prove they do business in Port Hueneme. So we could do that. And then just going back to the gift of public funds question, I think the justification, which I should have mentioned, that most cities have for doing these types of things is that there is a value to the community in the idea of getting graffiti removed from private property quickly. And so that's sort of the if the community were to say, well, how does this benefit me?
That's the return that we
how,
get, right.
Yeah, that's how it benefits everyone.
Unsightly.
The comment I was going to make was, as your attorney, to look very carefully at the systems in place for disposal of these units. Because we want to be sure that you're putting the city's logo on something, you want to be sure that it gets disposed of properly and doesn't cause any environmental damage or anything like that, which would then be a liability to the cities. There has to be all sorts of waivers and a process, in my mind, for disposal.
Which could support the mention that Councilmember Gama suggested about the citrus. Maybe those are more biodegradable, friendly, non-toxic type.
We're at the Alaska Memorial a month ago, I think, and it got hit really bad, and city staff came down, and I think they were using the citrus-based spray, and it was incredible because it was gold paint, and it was a large area, and it literally washed off after they put this. So, and it came out of a can, I believe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I think we do use that internally for graffiti removal. I think the cost might be
Too much.
challenging to be able to get kits with them, or it would limit how many kits we can provide.
Yeah, because I think, and I know I've helped Mr. Scrivener a few times paint over and big areas of graffiti on our walls in our neighborhood. It can be laborsome, right?
Can you come?
Guessing the answer is yes.
We have a long history of being hit with graffiti at Surfside Village, and we've given up trying to hire somebody to paint over it because it would cost us thousands of dollars. So I and one other guy are the graffiti removal people, and we just went and bought a bunch of paint, and as soon as we see it, we get rid of it. And that has made a marked difference in how much of this happens. So Councilman Gama helped us one day when we had a huge one that took place, and as soon as it was identified, everybody showed up. We got rid of it. The next day, another place was hit. We got rid of it, and then they move on someplace else. So the one comment I would like to make is that the city staff is fantastic at getting rid of this stuff. I walk around every morning. I see pictures of graffiti. I see graffiti. I put it on the Go Wainimi app. It's gone the next day. It's really remarkable service that they do. However, if it's on private property, then code enforcement has to call up, and there's a delay there. And so the longer the delay is, the more likely somebody's going to come over and cross over what was there, and you get these wars going on. So, from my experience, the quicker this stuff is gone, the less of it we're going to get. And if a homeowner can simply go to the city and get a kit and get rid of it, which won't work in some areas because it's just too big, but if they can do that, we'll have less graffiti. So thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments from council?
I am at a little pause because of proper disposal. These are yes, and these are materials that can be misused. I know that the graffiti spray can be misused, so we just need to really think it through, be cautious, and make sure, I don't know, have a criteria maybe to training. I don't know. There are some.
Provide training on the proper use of a spray can?
Well, I'll tell you, if you witness how effective it is, the paint literally drips off, and there's a reason, because it's really good stuff, you know, but it can be misused.
Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments on this item?
No public comments.
All right, so the recommendation is to receive the Measure U Committee's recommendation to purchase and provide approximately 100 graffiti removal kits to Port Hueneme residents. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We are moving on to City Manager comments and reports.
Thank you. I have a few slides. Our recreation report ended up including some of the announcements, so I'll go over those briefly. And one was, yes, the museum is reopening on July 6th at 11 a.m. And so we are inviting everybody to start coming by. They will be open Saturdays and Sundays from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at this point, so come by on Saturday or Sunday. And so, but the grand opening is this Saturday on July 6th. So. And then we mentioned all the recreation programming. We actually wanted to highlight a couple of things, and one is that, and I sent an email on this to the council as well, but a lot of cities are struggling right now to get lifeguards, and you find cities sort of cannibalizing each other and stealing each other's lifeguards and not being able to get enough lifeguards to maintain the safety, beach safety or pool safety. And we are very fortunate, although it's due to a lot of hard work in our recreation department and our human resources team too. But we have a very good lifeguard program with a lot of committed lifeguards, and so we don't take that for granted. And we have the people will see them out at the beach starting now, essentially with the summer season. And so we wanted to highlight that, but we also wanted to talk about one of the other cool things we have that might kind of feed into that is our junior lifeguard program. And so we just had our latest session, and we had over 100 children participate in this junior lifeguard program. And in the program, kids learn about ocean safety, beach environments, wildlife, and basic first aid. And I was jealous actually finding out some of the things they get to do, because they get to go hiking, swimming, and paddling on Santa Cruz Island, which I still haven't gotten to do. So I might have to sign up one year. And they'll be doing the Cal State Long Beach Shark Lab research coming up. So that program is going on now. It's got a lot of participants, so we wanted to highlight it. And then it's something people should look to sign up for whenever it becomes available, because the participants love it. So
You're going to sign up for the junior lifeguard program?
I think
If
I'm going to have to.
you put a ball cap on and you might be able to fit in. Look like
Kneel down a little bit, yeah. And then this was mentioned earlier too, and we were highlighting some of the recreation things today with it being Recreation Month. But July 12th is the next movie in the park night. Finding Nemo will be at Hueneme Beach Park, and showtime is at 8:15 p.m. and it's free for all ages. And then the next agenda, July 15th agenda, we wanted to preview that meeting. It's the last meeting before the August break. So we have several time-sensitive items that we're going to be bringing on that July 15th agenda, and it's looking to be a full meeting. But we'll have some presentations. We'll have the Mothers Against Drunk Driving Award presentation. We'll be introducing our new Community Services Officer, Jessica Baca, and we'll bring her to the council meeting. And then we are bringing back the requested presentation on climate change, and I believe we got Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance is going to be the group that presents that. And then for public hearings, we'll have two ones that we know we're getting a lot of questions about, we know people want to know about. So when we come for the permits, it'll be our chance to tell people the details and how it's going to work this year. But one will be the Beach Fest, getting that permit issued, because it's hard to believe that after the summer break, it's basically Beach Fest. So the week after we come back. So Beach Festival, and then the Hueneme Fun Run. We are looking at doing the Fun Run, which we had started last year, and doing again as sort of year 2. And so we'll be presenting both of those. And then 3 business items planned at this point. One is just a Bubbling Springs Park update, because we just want to give regular updates on that project, because we know it's a big, important project to the community. We'll be bringing the Hueneme Hero Award application approval to the council. And that's going to the Citizen Advisory Commission meeting, which is July 8th. So we'll be bringing their recommendation back to council. And then last, we're going to present the Economic Development Plan, which we've been working with our team to finalize and prepare to bring back. So a big meeting with a lot of those topics that I think it's like right when people start to ask what's going on with this thing, our goal is to bring it back and let people know what's going on. So those are 5 big ones. So.
Any questions for Mr. City Manager? Okay, we will move on to the council member reports and comments. We'll start with Councilmember Martinez.
Thank you, Mayor Perez. I just want to mention that, yes, Reach is going to have hopefully have a pickleball tournament on the 24th, 25th. We're also planning, something that wasn't mentioned is we're planning on volunteering for the basketball 3-point shooting contest that's going to happen on the 3rd of August. So we'd like to be there and volunteer and help the city. We do have some new members, including some of the city staff. I'm still not sure if Rick Perez wants to join. He said yes. I just didn't see him at the meeting. But we do have other staff from housing like Anali and Myra that want to participate. Yeah, probably not going to see him in meetings, but he wants to help,
He'll
and
be
that,
there,
that
he just
and that's
won't
what
come
we
to
need
meetings.
because, like it was mentioned at today's presentation, is we want to be a working committee. So that's what we're working for. And just to mention, that's something that I had been wanting since day one, since I got on REACH, because when I first got on there, I thought it was really weird that we'd get together and just not really be active, proactive. And I started being proactive by doing the basketball tournaments, the soccer events, the volleyball events. I ran a coaching clinic. So that was part of REACH, but I really wanted everyone to be a part of it. And it really wasn't happening in the beginning. In regards to the sister city, there is going to be a visit on the 5th through the 7th of August, and I've invited Mayor Perez to join us, and she agreed to also provide a State of the City presentation. She's going to brush up on her Spanish. But the new sister city president from Puerto Vallarta is going to join us along with 12 visitors. So we have a lot to talk to in tomorrow's meeting. So we have our meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. And I do also want to mention that I've been really proud to see that we've been having consistent port representation. Today we have Drew Rodriguez from the port, and I have noticed that Letitia Austin and Adam Vega have been showing up. So I think that's a really great turning point that I want to point out that I haven't seen in my 4 years of being on city council, and this year it's been happening. So that's really great to see. I also want to encourage everybody to get their beach parking pass, because I think today's the first day that if you bought one last year, then yours expired, so you need to buy a new one. And I'm one of the first people to experience the stop signs on Panoma Street, since I live on Scott Street, and I have to use Panoma to get to my parents. And so I've been hearing great things. I myself aren't like a big fan of like speed bumps and stop signs, but I hear everyone else saying great things and saying, hey, I feel safe. There's more parking, and I just with people saying that they feel safe at the intersection is a win. Because I wouldn't always feel safe when I'd ride my bike, because it'd be difficult to see some of the cars, and some of the cars would be speeding. So I think that's a really great win for our city. But yeah, it's looking like it's a great summer, and I'm on vacation, so just happy to be here.
That's the life, especially when you live in Hueneme. It's a good place to be on vacation. Just really pleased with Hueneme beach cleanup, and former mayor council member Rollins mentioned earlier that they received money for grabbers, but there's a little more to the story than that, so I just want to clarify it. So a group that was going to film a commercial at Hueneme Beach, the husband of the producer is a surfer, and he surfs Hueneme Beach a lot, and so he's always talking to me about beach cleanup on Saturday. And when they were going to do this project, he said, hey, we're going to inconvenient you because it's being on a Saturday. We want to do something for you. And I said, well, yeah, we need grabbers. He goes, all right, let me cut you a check for $500. I'm like, well, hold on a second. That's not going to work. And so I got together with our fearless city manager. I said, well, hey, I mean, come on, I want the grabbers, but I don't think it's a good idea for me to take a check. So we contacted REACH, and we were able to go through a lot of paperwork, believe it or not, Apple. But we were able to have REACH receive the donation, and then I went and purchased the grabbers and presented a receipt and got reimbursed. So really cool. And just want to say to the REACH board members, yes, I'm ready to help fundraise, do whatever we can to make REACH a viable nonprofit in our community, because it really is the essence of our city. Recreation, education, arts, community, culture. 7 years, I still can't get it right. But anyways, we all need to pitch in and help REACH and make them what the potential is out there. And I do appreciate increased collaboration with the port. And I just want to bring up an example. There's been ships anchored offshore, and I've been here 26, maybe 7, I don't know, longer years. I've never seen 4 ships anchored off our coast. And so people have been asking me, what's going on with that? I'm like, I think it's the Baltimore thing, because I remember reading that BMW has a plant that was affected, and maybe they're coming over here. But again, it's just, it would be nice if we had the information to share with our residents when they ask me, because I don't know. And then, and I just want to make the point that the residents of Hueneme, we love the port. We endure the consequences of success at the port. We heard a little bit about it earlier, but I will say this. If those ships were anchored off Silver Strand Beach, there would be an outcry. And so I hope that we could at least have the information to let residents know the reason why it's happening. I think that would be really good. I'm enjoying summer, and I'm enjoying the newsletter, and thank you for indulging me.
Councilwoman Hernandez.
Thank you, Mayor Perez. I don't really have anything. The SCAG meetings are dark for July. I understand we're going dark August. That's probably when the SCAG meetings will start back up. So I'll be busy during August. I do want to discuss with you, Mr. City Manager, the other part of the mural contract having to do with the interactive murals, and seeing if we can get one created in time for the beach festival. So if Councilmember Martinez is available, maybe the 3 of us can get together and talk about that. I've already put a bug in Carolyn's ear.
Okay.
Under that contract, I think we still have 2 more murals.
And I think July 15th, we're planning to bring the mural back to council, so we can sort of just loop that in with that. And we'll talk about it. Any approval we might need, we can loop in there.
Okay.
If we don't need approval, then it's a different approach.
I just want to make sure we get them working on it so it's ready in time for the beach festival. All done. Thanks.
So if 2 council members got together with the city manager to discuss the mural, and we've all discussed it before amongst us in various ways and means, would that be a Brown Act violation?
Technically, if the 2 talk to me about a mural and I do not tell them any other council member's opinion, that's the thing I have to be careful with, is I can't say, yeah, this, these other 2 council members agree or don't agree with you. So I'm able to take their information, and then, like I said, I don't remember offhand if we had approved if the council had already approved the interactive mural. So if not, it would have to come back to council anyway. So any decision would be made at that council meeting.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, just would like to share that I have a couple of meetings coming up in the next couple of weeks, but a few of them have been canceled for July, and so they're dark in August. So most of my meetings are going to start again in September. So that's all I'll report. Thank you.
Thank you. I had one meeting at the Boys and Girls Club, which the only thing that was really of any relevance to us is that they'll be out for most of the rest of the year, starting September, I believe, and they'll open up March, I believe is the time frame, for their major construction. So that's going to be exciting. It's going to be completely unrecognizable, is what the architects and all the staff and the drawings and everything to say. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I have a brief summary of our Port City meeting. So we met on June 26th, and the agenda consisted of 4 items, which was the Bard Monument update, the Community Benefit Fund discussion and recommendations, 2024 Washington, D.C. trip, and other city port initiatives. The Board Monument was a brief summary by Kristen, where they just reiterated and discussed that they'll be placing the monument on their property. And then we talked about the Community Benefit Fund, which was a consensus of the port and city to reduce the overall list of projects and to focus and to narrow the focus of projects and increase the funding for those projects. And we agreed to remove certain projects and focus those that didn't fall within those categories. And the categories were economic community development enhancement, public safety, the joint DC trip, grant writing, and the confirmed approximately 33,000 left, or 33,000 left over. So they finalized the list, which was previously given to council, of the nonprofits that were going to receive money. And then the port added potential mental health related projects, and we requested scholarships for the junior lifeguard program, which was a public comment recommendation at that meeting. In addition to public safety projects, one of the port commissioners also talked about wanting to put the canine program to assist with that. So that will be going back to their board for approval, and will come back to us. We'll approve those 3 items as well. The 3 students met the criteria for scholarships, and the remaining money will roll over for another series because they just couldn't find enough students to meet the criteria. So they're looking at maybe a broader scope, maybe including private schools that might have Port Hueneme residents, because we do have some local ones where some of our students go there, but it just wasn't a lot of applicants that came in for the scholarships. So that will be rolled over until the next session. And the DC trip, there was some discussion about potentially delaying it because there's elections coming, but they're going to bring back their DC people at the next meeting to discuss the issues with that. And so that may be held over until spring, because we also have elections and change of mayor and mayor pro tem in December. So it just might not be a good time to do a DC trip in the fall. And that was pretty much it. Is there anything that I left out of that? I sent this list to city manager and mayor pro tem for any follow-up and make sure I didn't miss anything, and that was pretty much the consensus. And I have one update. It's a private update. It has nothing to do with city council stuff. It was just a thing that I created. I was able to successfully charter a Lions Club for the city of Port Hueneme, and we have 26 members now confirmed. It's growing fast. There's a lot of Hueneme citizens excited to get involved in community service and to support the city. We had a community event at Bolker Park, which was a huge clothing drive and food share. The Salvation Army brought 120 food boxes. We got rid of half of that, and then we were able to donate with the permission of city manager and Director Basua. We deposited the rest of the food at Mar Vista. And then the clothing drive was huge success. It was pretty consistent all day long of just a lot of people coming in and getting clothing for various ages. So we'll be doing a lot of fundraising. Our first board meeting will be next Wednesday. If anybody's interested, that's a public meeting, so it'll be Zoom. Wednesday at 6. So if you want, it's Zoom. So if you want, get in touch with me and I can send you a link. Our first meeting is July 10th at Pizza Mandan's at 5:30, and anyone is welcome to come. We always encourage guests to come. We'll be partnering with the grocery outlets in terms of their Independence from Food, from Hunger Month, which is us volunteering, bagging, helping people to the cars, getting information out about what the Lions Club does, and hoping to gain members. And it's off to a really great start, and we have a lot of momentum. And this is, it's open to Hueneme and Oxnard or Ventura. You don't have to be a resident of Hueneme to join. And that's all I have. So now we'll move on to agenda items. I'd like to remind council that their requested agenda items will require a motion, a second, and a majority vote per adopted council policies to be placed on a future agenda item. Do we have any agenda items, Mr. Martinez?
I'm not sure if this requires a motion. I want to ask council if they think we should look into the first public comment. I didn't get the full name, but I think the girl's name was Alexis, and it was regarding the code enforcement going into the residents' homes. I don't know if maybe the city. I'm just maybe expecting like a response, and depending on what you say, like maybe we can make a motion or not.
Yeah, my suggestion is it's a specific code compliance case, which
we should not really discuss in public, or we can't really discuss in public.
But can
I'm
we,
not asking for
So,
a discussion.
Yeah,
I'm just,
so we'll make sure that that somebody from code compliance gets back to them and provides the information.
but can we at least have an understanding of what would trigger the government to knock on someone's door and say, hey, we're coming in and inspecting you? Because I don't understand that.
Okay.
And
That might be getting into operations that's outside of our, I don't know, what does our city attorney say about whether that's privy for council?
I think it would be appropriate for the council to have a basic understanding of
Okay.
when code enforcement can go to a private residence and do enforcement activities as a general concept.
yes.
Getting into the specifics.
No, we don't
of
want
one-
that.
yeah, no.
one
No, we,
All
I
right,
just want to
I-
understand what's the scenario where that would happen? And I think
So
that's,
I'll make a motion for an item to be brought up to council so that we can get educated on that process.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Any further, Mr. Martinez? Councilmember Gama? All right, seeing no other future agenda items, I will adjourn this meeting. The time is 8:37. Thank you for attending.